It's Accountex 2023, continuing our series of live interviews here at the show. We are the official broadcast partners, Accounting Influencers. I'm thrilled to have with me today Mike Dean from WhisperClaims. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Rob. Good to see you.
How's Accountex going so far for you? You still got your energy, Mike?
Oh, just about, yeah. Although I was losing my voice yesterday. It's so loud in here and you feel like you're shouting everywhere. We've not got a stand here this year. We made a sort of conscious decision not to do that.
Because you did exhibit last year, didn't you?
We did exhibit last year. What we wanted to do this year, we focused our marketing efforts kind of elsewhere during the course of the year. But I've got a huge value out of being here this last day and a half, just from I suppose from the perspective of marketing partnerships and people that we're talking to in some of the bigger
networking your little booty off?
Just a bit, yeah. So it's been, it's been well worth coming and kind of touching base with all the people that we know and love in the sector.
Definitely. You've got a lot to talk about with R&D. We'll pick that up in a minute.
Yeah.
But have you been to any of the speaker slots? Have you done any of the speaking slots?
No, I haven't had a chance. I've been that busy sort of getting around meeting with partners and people that we're working with out there.
So you represent WhisperClaims. For the audience, Mike, tell us a little bit about what they do.
Okay, so we're an app built entirely for accountants. We're all about R&D tax. So the app is there to help accountants build R&D tax claims quickly and easily. And as I'm sure we're going to talk about in a bit more depth in a minute. R&D tax is a real changing landscape right now. So there's been lots of changes to legislation. There's been a House of Lords inquiry. There's been a whole change in the way that HMRC are handling themselves around R&D tax, all of which has led to increased complexity in the market. And essentially, our app and our support wrap around the app are there to kind of unlock all of that complexity and help accountants work their way through and deliver an effective service.
We just recently interviewed Paul Applin, former president of the ICAEW and tax expert. We're saying exactly that, Mike, about the increase in complexity and expectations on accountants. Yeah. And he talked about how the tax law would be an inch thick a few years ago, but now it would fill a foot or more on a bookshelf.
Absolutely,
yeah. Inconceivable that accountants would be able to keep up with that, even just the R&D element, which is where you guys come
from. And prior to the current changes in R&D related legislation, you were looking at 500 pages worth of guidance around the R&D tax scheme. I don't actually know what that's gone up to with all the recent changes, but it'll be more. So it is a complex and kind of niche area of tax. So I suppose you sort of ask the question, well, why bother getting involved with that if you're an accountant? And we find there's sort of two drivers for people talking to us. On the one hand, it's people who've got clients who are maybe already working with R&D tax specialists. And one of the kind of pressures at the moment in the market is that some of those people have got quite a negative reputation. So accountant is often left with holding the baby, if you like, with their client coming to them saying, can you help me with this? I'm not happy working with these people anymore. So there's a little bit of market pressure leading to that. So suddenly the accountant is faced with all this complexity and doesn't know how to deal with it. So that's one group. We've got another group who come to us simply because of the market opportunity. There are other people kind of running away from the market because of this complexity. So they see an opportunity. Yeah. How can we build a service kind of quickly and easily with the backing from WhisperClaims? That's kind of group number two. And then the third group are people who are already operating in the market. They've perhaps got a dedicated R&D department. And in fact, we've even got one or two R&D tax specialists who work with us in this vein as well. And what are they looking for? It's taking complexity and risk out of what they're already doing. So, it's increasing efficiency, and it's making sure they've got a shoulder to lean on when it comes to keeping ahead of the legislation. So we've got people in all of those camps that we're working with.
Talk to us a little bit, Mike, about the R&D space. So innovation obviously is a big word. AI is coming into view now. Yeah. Are firms really servicing a much greater demand for research and development from their clients?
That's a great question. The answer is they should be. Whether they are is a slightly different question.
Maybe they're reactively playing it. They'll deal with it if clients come to them. Yes. But they should be more strategic in positioning possibilities.
Yes, exactly. And actually, that kind of plays to some of our support offerings. So one of the things we do with our clients is work through a portfolio review with them. So we'll look at their entire client base and help them to understand where the opportunity might lie to deliver an R&D tax service. And often that comes down to them, not quite understanding the nuances of the scheme and how they can position themselves. So we've got a service line. We don't charge for that, by the way. We've got a service line that's helping them to sort of position themselves with their existing client base. But at the kind of, if you like, the tail end of the process. So when they've worked through a claim, they've built a claim with their client, often they're sort of erring on the side of maybe lacking confidence before they submit that claim to HMRC. So we offer a couple of services around helping them to make sure that they're ticking all of the boxes with HMRC before they
Belt
kind of
and
submit
braces.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
What excites you most about the research and development space and the whole tax provision there, Mike?
To be honest, I mean, on the one hand, this kind of the current changing landscape that we're all facing in this sector is a threat and a worry to many providers out there. And in fact, I mentioned it a second ago, that you've seen some providers sort of back away from the market entirely. So there's a sort of negative aspect to the market just at the minute. But the bit that excites me is the kind of other end. So we've got a raft of firms, in fact, larger firms coming to talk to us right now because they need that shoulder to lean on that I mentioned earlier on. They need help. They need to make sure that they're doing things right and to kind of keep honest and ahead of the change. And later on this year, there are yet more changes to the scheme coming through. And we've got a bunch of new features in the software that are going to take even more complexity out of the accountant's world. So it's that bit that gets us excited. So we're sort of operating at two ends of the spectrum at the minute.
Absolutely.
With, people who are concerned walking away, and on the other hand, people excited and looking at it as an opportunity. That's very much the end of the spectrum we want to be at.
We talked earlier about your networking, your booty off at Accountex. And presumably those conversations are not just with accountants and businesses, but fellow providers and vendors and strategic partnerships.
Yes.
Talk to us a bit about that.
That's right. So for me, that's a combination of networks and, so for instance, mastermind groups, where you've got groups of accountants who are working together and groups of peers. And in fact, just a little aside, I was out for dinner last night with one of the mastermind groups that we partner with.
Okay.
And as I sat down at the table, the guy opposite me said, "Your service and your product is fantastic." And I didn't know who he was. Immediately, was sort of slightly embarrassed. Are you one of our customers? No, but I work with a group of accountants who all use it and they all sing your praises. That's kind of fantastic feedback.
It's vindication
I love
of
that.
what you're doing,
Absolutely, yeah. But outside of those groups, it's industry associations that we're working with. It's other vendors. So we've got partnerships with people like Walters Kluwer. We're talking to Dex at the moment about doing some exciting things over the next few months. So it's kind of great to be working with people with that kind of market clout. And
you're in our Accounting Influencers Roundtable.
Absolutely,
well, so
of course. That goes without saying. Yeah.
For you.
Absolutely.
Well, some people don't know, so we do mention it. And finally, Mike, what excites you most about WhisperClaims and the journey that you're on over the next few years?
Well, we're now working with about 170 firms across the country, and we started this business on a bootstrap basis, and so we've grown our business through cash flow and kind of learning and feeling our way as we've gone. So that journey's been 4 years from 0 to 170 firms, which has been fantastic. But we're kind of all set now, especially on the back of this sort of latest draft of changes from HMRC. Sort of go to the next stage of growth. So all those partnerships I've just mentioned are all part of that growth story to kind of take us to the next level.
Well, you're clearly on a crusade, Mike Dean. It's been wonderful talking to you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Rob.